This always keeps changing. Probably by the time it's released, it's gonna look way different because I keep changing it almost every day, at least every week. So I've just added a bunch of new options near the top. So I guess we'll go over them top to bottom. Subtitles and graphic content, those two are already in the game. Max FPS is a very cool option. You can now change your max FPS. Normally on BO1, the max FPS is actually capped at 90, which is pretty low. A lot of people like their high frame rates, so it can actually go up to 1000. So I put 1000 on there. Yeah, I can't get 1000 frames, but yeah. Well, actually, now that I'm showing the max FPS, I might as well show the show FPS option, which will show your FPS on screen. And it shows the shortened, the smaller version of the FPS, because there's two options to show your FPS. One will bring it like way out to the left more, but it looks better when it's all the way in the corner. And also, as you can tell, the timer and the round timer move down when you activate show FPS, and they also move back up when you disable it. So that way the show FPS doesn't interlap with the timer on screen, because if I didn't move it, you wouldn't be able to see either option. So they have to move down, and I don't want to just leave them where they're at right now when you don't have the FPS active, because it looks better all the way up in the corner. I also added an option to remove fog from the game, which in my opinion makes the game look better. It does make it like kind of darker, but overall I think it looks better. Here's with fog, and here's without fog. To me, it looks better without fog. I just wish it was a little brighter, because my settings are all the way. Oh, they are not. I swear that didn't change anything. But yeah, I just wish it was a little bit brighter with no fog. And yeah, on to the next change. So now we have the weapon cycle delay, which you guys might be confused by. The weapon cycle delay basically is for keyboard and mouse players who specifically like to use the scroll wheel to switch weapons. Basically, it'll make it so that however many times you press the input for switching weapons within a 100 millisecond time gap, it'll only activate it once. So basically, once you've activated your weapon switch once, it'll disable all other weapon switch input for 100 milliseconds, or a tenth of a second for you guys who are not good with numbers. So it feels really good when you have the weapon scroll or the mouse scroll binded for your weapon cycling, but I added it as a toggleable option because I feel like some people might not want it, especially controller players. And I've seen some people on PC who can switch their weapon back and forth really fast, like even faster than 100 milliseconds. So I feel like they would want that disabled. So we'll see. And then we have the FOV, which goes up to 120. Not my personal preference, but I've had some people who like it at 120. So yeah, it doesn't hurt me to add 120 FOV, so might as well add it. But let me put that back at my fave, 90, good old 90. And then yeah, we already went over show FPS. And then we have max FPS, let me put that back at 240. And then we have game mode. This is something I'm gonna wait for later. I haven't worked on any of these game modes yet. I have made grief mode for BO1, but I haven't implemented it into this mod. That's gonna take some time. And I also have a bunch of cool ideas for some game modes. I don't know how many are gonna make it into the mod when it's finished, but I'm gonna hopefully try to add all these game modes into the mod. So yeah. And then we have character dialogue. Alright, so usually whenever you buy a perk, it'll play some character dialogue, but you can just toggle character dialogue off and you won't get any character dialogue whatsoever. Now the way people normally do this, people already kind of do this, but they go into the sound and then they put voice volume down. But the problem with that is that it also reduces zombie voice sounds. It reduces all voice sounds, and there's more voice sounds in the game than just players. So If you want zombie sounds but you don't want player dialogue sound, then putting character dialogue to no is the option for you. Alright, the next option, the one you guys have all been waiting for. The number one question I get asked for this mod is, why'd you remove Mule Kick? And well, it was mainly just a personal preference. It's not my favorite perk, so I removed it, but I now added an option to enable it back for you. So this option doesn't update mid-game though. If you want to update it, you'll have to restart, because as you can see, I have it on Mule Kick no, and Mule Kick's still here. So whatever you start the game with, it will stay there. If you spawn in with Mule Kick, then Mule Kick will be there for the rest of the game. If you spawn in without Mule Kick, then you'll have no Mule Kick for the whole game. But if I just do a quick restart here, and now Mule Kick will be gone. Easy as that. So you can either play maps with Mule Kick or without Mule Kick. Now there's two exceptions to the rule. The first one being Moon. No matter what you choose here, Mule Kick will always be enabled on Moon, and Knocked, it's always disabled, because Knocked, it's a map known for having no perks, okay? Mule Kick doesn't need to be on there. I can understand it being on the other maps, but Knocked, come on, we can leave perks out of Knocked. So Knocked, it's always disabled. Moon, it's always enabled. So just remember that. So we currently have Varrock's start room set on the Jug side. So as you can see, no matter how many times I restart, I will always end up on Jug side. And if I set it to, wait, let me show you guys again. Yep, Jug. Just so you guys know, I'm not fooling you. And then quick revive side, we will always spawn on quick revive side. Very nice feature, especially for you solo Varrock first room players. Now how this works in co-op is it gets the options from whoever the host is. That's why it says host only right here. These options are only looked at by the host of the game. So in co-op, it'll just look for whoever the host is, what their setting is for Varrock's start room, and then the white and blue players will be on that side, whichever side they choose. So let's say the host has Jug side enabled, then white and blue player will be on Jug side, and then yellow and green player would be on quick revive side. Alright, so I've completely revamped how the windows are disabled on 5. Basically, once they're set at the beginning of the game, there's no way to reset the windows on 5 anymore. They're set like that for the whole game. But now you have two options to choose which window or windows you want disabled. Now, I know it can look confusing here, like, well, what's conference NE, conference NW, conference SE? Basically, let me show you. This way is north, this way is south, and then this would be the east side, and then this is the west side. So this is the northeast window, right? Yeah, northeast, southeast, southwest, and then northwest. And then we have the hallway east and hallway west window right here. So then once you look at the settings again, it shouldn't be as confusing. So if we want to set up the windows, like 90% of people are probably going to set them up, which is for high rounds on 5, then you want the conference NW disabled, or conference NE, geez, even I get mixed up on my directions. So conference NE, and then hallway east. So let's see, conference NW, or no, NE. Conference NE and hallway east is what you would want for your 5 high round games, unless you want to try a new strat. Maybe you would want something else configured, such as hallway west and hallway east. That would disable both of the zones in the hallway. Maybe you could figure out a cool new strat, you never know. And then I also left an option in here for random. You can set them both to random, so it would be like how it normally is. But you also have the option to preset which windows are disabled. So basically now, well, not even basically, it's 100%. You don't have to waste your time setting the windows on 5. They'll always be set from the beginning of the game until the end of the game. Alright, so now we have the No Man's Land start perk. You can now choose which perk spawns in at the very beginning of the game each time you start up No Man's Land. No Man's Land players rejoice. You can always start with Jug, and if you want to try a Speed Cola challenge, you can always have Speed Cola. So yeah, let me just prove to you guys that it works. We have it set on Jug right now, and no matter how many times I respawn, it'll be Jug. And then if I set it to Speed Cola, it will always be Speed Cola. Alright, and now we have the initial box location. So any map that has a box location that starts randomly, you can now choose which starting location it starts off at. And there's also a random option for if you want it to stay on random. But then yeah, you can also set which area the box starts off in. So right now we have it in the crematorium, aka the fire trap room. So yeah, and then the box will always spawn in here no matter how many times you restart. So no longer do you have to keep restarting at the very beginning of a Kino game to get your box in here. I know that could be really annoying. So yeah, the box will always be in here. And then if I change it, let's say VIP room, that's the PM63 room. That was also the code name for the zone. I'm not sure if I like that one. We'll see. And then it spawns up here. And then you can leave it on random if you want. And yeah, you can obviously only set the box location to places it can normally spawn at. You can't set it to the spawn room to start off at, obviously. But I had someone ask me that, so I'm just making that clear. So it's only places where the box could have initially started off at. The only difference now is you can make it so that it starts there every time. So yeah, that's all the changes to the settings, and then I also showed you all the new HUD changes. So I think that's more than enough to cover one video, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.